However, him, I've seen examples in my life experience, either be it through the media or in real life, of people that are quite successful. In other words, they've amassed a lot of money, or it seems like they've reached their goals, but they tend to be very ornery people.
You cannot evaluate from outside of their vibrational gap anyone else's success, because success is individual coming into alignment of your own far-reaching requests. In other words, if you ask for a little and allow it, you're successful. If you ask for a lot and allow it, you're successful. The success can only be measured by how much time you spend inside the vortex. It's not about stuff, you see. Although if life has caused you to ask for that and you're inside the vortex, then you've got plenty of it. We talked with someone who wants more money, not more work, but more money. And so as he is asking for more financial remuneration, putting it in the vortex, putting it in the vortex, putting it in the vortex is a very common thing for someone with a business to ask for more from a place of not having enough business. And they line up with the idea of it. They line up with the idea of more clients and more volume and more money flowing. They line up with the idea of that. And then the next time you talk to them, they're talking about not having enough time to enjoy their money. And so during that process, now they're asking for something more. Now they're asking for money and time. Now they're asking for money and time and people to assist them. Now they're asking for money and time and people to assist them and clarity. You're constantly, from wherever you are, offering more rockets of desire. And so anytime you see someone who is joyful, we would call them successful. We would call them mostly in the vortex. And when you see someone who is chronically, consistently happy, you can know that the majority, if not all, of what they've been putting into their vibrational escrow is being satisfied. But there are so many things, people use such screwy things as their criteria. It's like sometimes even Esther will say to us, Abraham, you got to give it to me. That person is really inappropriate in that behavior. And we never come out of the vortex and support her in those kinds of conversations. And she'll say, oh, come on, surely you will acknowledge with me that there is something screwy about that behavior. But we never come out and acknowledge that there is something screwy about that behavior, because there is one thing that is always consistent, and that is your emotional guidance system. It will always feel good when you're in alignment with what you want and who you have become. And it will always feel bad when you do otherwise. And so when you learn that, then you have this guidance that you have trained yourself into trusting. And then you always know where you are in relationship with everything else. So then often what happens is Esther will say to us, but Abraham, it's a true thing. It's true. That's why I'm talking about it. It's true. And we say, that's not a good criteria for giving your attention to something. There are plenty of true things that keep you outside of your vortex, just like there are plenty of true things that would take you into your vortex. So the criteria of the truth of something, all truth means is somebody focused upon it long enough and activated in their vibration long enough that they created it as a reality. And then the statistical historians called it a true thing. And we say there are all kinds of true things that you don't want to experience. So it being true is not a good criteria. And the same thing applies to what is successful. Success doesn't mean somebody getting something that you want. Success means feeling good because you're in the vortex where everything that you want is. Can you feel the difference?
I see. So it's the difference between just because somebody has something doesn't mean they're necessarily successful in the sense that they're happy and aligned with source.
Someone could be born into a family to a parent who had been a very powerful creator, and they could have more money than they have any, from your perspective, seeming use for. And in that less contrasting environment, they may have put all kinds of different things in their vibrational escrow to which they have not yet found alignment. So you are standing back from your place of having put abundance in your vortex, and so you think that the receiving of abundance is the answer to everything that you are looking for, and you see this person who was born into abundance and they're miserable and complaining all the time, and then you conclude, see, money doesn't make you happy. How often do you hear that? And then many will say, well, I'd rather be unhappy and rich than unhappy and poor. But money does not bring happiness. Alignment brings happiness. And just because someone has money doesn't mean they have alignment, you see. More people on your planet today would say having plenty of money is the symbol of success more than being in their vortex. Most people don't even know there's a vortex. Most people don't know that there is a vibrational counterpart that is offering a signal, and that if you don't match up to it, you're out there raw and ragged. Everybody has emotion, but hardly anybody knows that their emotion is telling them their vibrational proximity to the larger part of who they are. So you got to put a whole different understanding on your statements of what success is. And from our perspective, success is alignment. Success is in the vortex. Success is focused thought. Success is control of the thoughts I think. Success is feeling my emotions and guiding my thoughts deliberately into harmony with the greater being that is really me. That is success. And once you get that figured out, then everything that life has caused you to ask for, which is already in your vortex and your inner being is already vibrationally living it, then you have it. Do you know that what you are the creator of is you? Do you know that you are the product of your own creation? You in the abundance that you seek, you in the body that you seek, you in the mindset that you seek, you in the relationships that you want. You are the creator of you. You are the creator and you are the created. You are what you are creating. It is your state of being. It is your state of life. It is your life. It is you. It is your state. That's what you're creating, you see. So what happiness is you letting yourself get up to speed with you. And then off you go again. And then you letting yourself get up to speed with you. And then off you go again. It's this eternal platform that we are all on, you see. Some say, well, when do I get it done? And we say, never. That's why you're eternal. You mean I never get it all done? No, then you'd really be dead, and there isn't any of that. If you could ever finally and completely close the gap so there was no more to reach for, it would be over. So guess what happens? Think about this. Could you ever finally close the gap once and for all? Sort of sounds like what it's like for non-physical, doesn't it? Where there's no discernible resistance. You could not discern from your vantage point, you could discern no contrast in the vibration of that which is source. So what happens? Source stands in that non-resistant state of being and sends a part of itself forward into a contrasting environment where more contrast is set forward. Do you understand the importance of what you are about? And do you understand why you shouldn't feel bad about having the step one moment? And do you understand why, once you've had your step one moment, that the source within you is standing there, having become all that you've asked for? Do you understand why it's such a sweet ride in the process of catching up with it? And do you understand that in the moment or even before you catch up, you're launching more rockets? Because that's the part you're playing, you see. So in this gathering, it is our desire to, first of all, make you feel ease about your step one moments because you're only fulfilling your reason for being. And next, to encourage you not to make a career out of your step one moments. Don't hang around always in step one. Keep reaching, keep reaching. Have your step one moments and then get in the vortex and then have another one and get in the vortex and then have another one and get in the vortex. So is there anything wrong with getting in there and feeling great and then slipping out for a moment and regrouping and remembering who you are and then getting back in? And basking there for a while and then slipping out? Isn't that the way it's supposed to be? Yes. Isn't that the way it's supposed to be? Yes. Isn't that the way it's supposed to be?
All right, thank you.
Yes, indeed. Second row.
Abraham, I'd like to play with you just a moment. We had a couple conversations yesterday. One was a man who was disappointed because he had reached a level, financial level, a job level in life, and he couldn't see any way he could be advanced. And then the next man I'm visiting with, this man it's a lifetime position, in other words, he can't be advanced from there. He's going to be stuck as Supreme Court Justice for the rest of his life. And he wasn't unhappy with being stuck with no place to grow to. I was struck by that. I was struck by the fact that, I've watched the man's decisions through the years and been, he may hear this someday, but nevertheless, I haven't agreed with most of them. And so I thought that if I ever met him, that we would be not comfortable together. And yet we met and we're talking of our childhoods, parallel childhoods practically, how we were raised, where we were raised, our family lives. And he talked about Think and Grow Rich and how it changed his life. He talked about how he decided to become a better speaker, and he got all books on vocabulary, and he read every self. And we're talking about all this. We've all done the same things together. And I'm thinking, this man, he made a decision that he was going to reach out to make his life better. And I could see from the time he was a little boy, he always made a decision he spoke of his grandfather as the most wonderful, loving, brilliant man that he ever knew in his lifetime. And I used to do that about my grandfather too. But anyway, my point was that he was successful and extremely happy. And he was successful and extremely nice. I couldn't believe how down to earth and how nice and how excited he was to read our books and so on and so forth.
What surprised you about it, and the reason that it fits into this last conversation so well, is because from anybody else's perspective, you cannot evaluate
No.
why they're satisfied.
And the things we talked about, we agreed on everything. There was no disagreement.
Well, when you're in the vortex and someone else is in the vortex, you meet in the vortex and you rendezvous on points that are powerful and beneficial to both of you.
That's excellent.
And what it helps you to understand is you don't have to agree on all of the individual components. You just have to be in the vortex. And the thing that happens with so many people is that they're outside the vortex for whatever reason. Something's bothering them, or there's some injustice that they've seen. Now they're going to make it happen. I'm going to make this happen. A sort of feeling of trying really hard or even trying too hard. And so there you are, without the benefit of alignment and without the benefit of all of the resources of source, which makes you try all the harder. And so there you are out there, sort of on the raw and ragged edge, talking about this and talking about this and passing this law and passing this law and trying to get them to mind you and trying to get them to mind you and trying to get them to pay attention and trying to get them to pay attention, trying to bang this into place and try to stretch enough time out of this and try to make your money go further here and try to get people to agree with you about this. And it just goes on and on and on and on and on and on, this impossible quest, because outside the vortex, nothing works out, except that you put more stuff in the vortex. And then when you finally get tired enough that you die, or tired enough that you give up, or wise enough that you realize the struggle's not getting you anywhere, and you just begin breathing more deeply and making more of your attention be about soothing your vibration and getting in the vortex, then you get in there, and not only is everything easier for you because now you have the resources of source assisting you, but from inside the vortex, all that stuff that was bothering you doesn't bother you because you realize that it's all part of the expansion process. And so that's why you begin to notice that the more success that people have, and this falls on the heels of what we were just talking about, the more success that people have, usually the easier it is to have an in the vortex kind of conversation with them, because the success that they have achieved, no matter whether you agree with the success that they've achieved or not, took alignment between their self and their self.
Right.
And so what it comes down to is that if you meet people of all persuasions, they could have all kinds of different ideologies, but if they are in harmony with themselves, then you have a common denominator upon which you can build a relationship, because when they're in harmony with who they really are, they are those who love. When you find somebody who's in alignment with who they really are, they are someone who appreciates easily. In other words, it doesn't matter what the subject of agreement or disagreement between the two of you is. If they're in agreement with who they are and you're in agreement with who you are, you will find many more parts of harmony than points of disharmony. You have much more harmony with every person on the planet than you do disharmony. But you don't know that because you are not in harmony with yourself, most of the time, and you're out there trying to do the impossible, trying to sort out all of the details of life, you see. Oh, well, I think this because of this, and I think this because of this, and what do you think about that, 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 and what happened then, and that turned my mind that way, and then that happened over there, and that turned my mind that way, and that happened over there, and then did you see that, and you just did, and we say, just kill me now. Just kill me now. You can never sort this stuff out. You can never sort it out. All this partisanship and all of this rationalization, all of this I'm smarter than you and my position is better than yours, all of that is just wasted life.